this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Amazon Health AI presents Painful Thoughts.
Why did I search the internet for answers to my cold sore problem? Now I'm stuck down a rabbit hole filled with images of alarmingly graphic sores in various stages of ooze. I can clear my search history, but I can never unsee that.
Don't go down the rabbit hole. Amazon Health AI gets you the right care fast. Healthcare just got less painful.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year. You can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Do you want to find a stress-free way to buy your next car? Start at CarMax and shop your way. And if you want to browse with confidence, get pre-qualified online with no impact on your credit score and shop cars within your budget. From luxury cars to family rides, CarMax has options for almost every price range, including more than 25,000 cars priced under $25,000. So, hey, want to get started? Just head to CarMax.com for details and get pre-qualified today. Want to drive? CarMax.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Body Bags with Joseph Scott Moore. For my money, there's one place in particular in Florida that has a certain beauty to it that's unlike the rest of Florida. Now, I'll tell you why. Because it is the site of the first European settlement in what we now know as America. It's St. Augustine, Florida. If you've never been there, I encourage you to go just for the history. It's kind of frozen in time. I know some of it's a little bit touristy, but just gorgeous. There's somebody that showed up there way back when, in the 1500s, actually 1513, if we're being exacting. And of course, it's the famous explorer, Juan Ponce de Leon. Now, legend always had it that he was showing up there because he was in search of the fountain, so-called fountain of youth. And there is a spring there that is associated with that. But you and I both know that that was not his purpose there. Like other Spanish conquistadors, he was there looking for gold, trying to find it wherever it was hidden, if it was with the native population or laying in huge mounds, like Scrooge McDuck. He was trying to find it. Well, of course, he never did. But there are still people out there that are looking for the fountain of youth. And unfortunately, many of those people can be had by people that are still looking for gold, coin, that they can put in their pockets and enrich themselves. And today on Body Bags, we're going to talk about someone that perhaps was in search of the fountain of youth and an organization that it would seem at least may, by their own practices, have led to this individual's demise. I'm Joseph Scott Morgan, and this is Body Bags. Dave, Brother Dave, guess what? Here's an epiphanal moment for you and I both. You can't stop time. You can't do it. I've thought about it, and I got to tell you, I'm just kind of I'm on the journey, dude. I'm enjoying myself. I really am. When I see my grandbabies, when I see my kids, when I see my beautiful wife, I understand that I have this one snapshot in time. This is all I'm going to have. I can't turn it back. There's no way. And anytime I see somebody that is advertising something that says, we can make you look youthful. Mm-hmm. We can add years to your life. I think that people have been selling the snake oil for a long, long time. There's, what's the old saying? And it often comes up on Body Bags. There's nothing new under the sun, correct?
Joe, the thing that people are really looking for is, I think, and it's just personal, just my take, I think they're looking less about looking more youthful, but it's looking for peace and happiness and joy that don't come in those material things. Money, power, youthful appearance. Those things they're all fleeting. They're all nothing. How you look on the outside has nothing to do with who you are. But I think a lot of times, because we don't fix our insides, we think I'll just do this. And that's how I look at it. But I look at celebrities who have just use the facelift, the time-honored facelift, and I think about Kenny Rogers and how, he's a bearded guy. You only see a third of his face anyway, and he gets it and has this facelift, and he regretted it because and I'm thinking, if somebody with that kind of money gets a bad facelift, what does that say about you and me? This is hit and miss. Burt Reynolds, same way. You look at him, you're going, before and after. Really, Burt? And then look at Clint Eastwood. He hasn't bothered with that, and he keeps on trucking. So, look, man, what we're going to talk about today is death at a medispa, okay? And in radio for many, many years, doing morning shows where we endorse products and things like that. In particular, you have your morning show back in the day when people used to listen to radio. You would have sponsors. And I'll use one, because I don't know if it's around anymore, but they would have names like Medifit. Yeah. And it would be lose weight without exercise. Now, who doesn't want the Krispy Kreme diet? Eat a dozen donuts and lose weight, Hey, buddy, sign me up. The Hollywood diet, the 24-hour diet. I will tell you that having done these, yes, there are programs that work. Usually not the way you think, but in radio, they would come to us, and because it was radio, people have a face for radio, right? You don't end up on TV. There's a reason for this. And so they would come and talk to your fat partner or you or both of you and try to get them. And it's like, well, I can't endorse your product until I use it. So, well, that's part of the bargain. We want you to endorse this product. Boom. And usually it was a salesperson that came in with it because, hey, they're seeing the advertising. This person's going to pay us, $3,000 a month for you to endorse their product. Well, dude, I'm not going to endorse it unless it works on me. Fair enough. Here you go. And that's how and then they pay for that endorsement, by the way, if you work for a good, the story we're doing today, the first thing I noticed, Joe, first of all, it was one of these medispas, and it was one of these things that offers making you look, rolling back the hands of time.
Yeah.
And our victim today her name is Jenifer Cleveland. Jenifer was 47 years old. She was an account executive, salesperson for a local radio station in Texas. And Jenifer died July 10th, 2023. The date is important because On July 9th, 2023, Jenifer Cleveland wrote this on social media. The Luxe Med Spa by Amber Johnson will definitely make you look and feel beautiful. She posted that across all of her social media. Radio sales girl, you know. She was dead the next day from Amber Johnson. Allegedly. Amber Johnson's accused of this, Joe, of killing her through this med spa thing. Today, we're going to explore this med spa journey. You talked about the Fountain of Youth. I'm so glad you mentioned that to start this, Joe, because outward appearance, you know, we're so fixated on it. We're so fixated on what we look like. And look, man, I get it. You want to do things to make you feel comfortable and confident. A lot of times as we get older, when we begin to come at peace with ourselves and our relationships and things, we do want to make ourselves look better. I get that. I got no problem with it. You know, I try to shave every day. I try to comb my hair every day. I mean, but you know, when it gets right down to it, I got two choices every night, Joe. Every night. I get in bed and I'm thinking, you know, Dave, you need to lose about 25 pounds.
Yeah.
But you really like to eat this ice cream every night, right when you're good. And so I know, Joe, if I quit eating ice cream and then going to sleep 5 minutes later, I could lose the weight. Oh, yeah. And every night I think about that. I'm like, well, what's more important? You know, I'd rather have the ice cream.
I don't know. I mean, you had me at the Krispy Kreme diet.
Oh yeah. That's,
you know, because that's one of the things that, you know, I'm thinking about. You know, because my Lord, I know that it's not good for me. And there's so many things that are not good for you. But boy, the pleasure and the joy of that every now and then, you know, when you have one of those hot, I'm like a child when I go into, and look, Krispy Kreme is not paying me for saying this.
Right.
Talk about sponsorship. But I do, you know, if you've never been to one where they make the donuts, it's literally, you go up to a glass and you can press your face in and you can watch these things come out of the fryer, get on the conveyor belt, and that glaze is dropped over there and you're watching them all along and you're saying, and the one thing you say when you get up, you always ask them, do you have hot fresh now? And if you say you have hot fresh now, I don't want the ones that are in the cabinet down here. I want the ones that are coming off the line. And one of the beauty things, they have these little straws that they use. They walk over and with the straw and they pick these things up as they've come off the line and freshly glazed, and they're dropping them in a box. And when you hold the box, the heat is still radiating off of this thing. And when
don't even have to chew.
I know, it literally melts in your mouth. So hang on. Can we pause and like, but no, I mean, you think about that and you think about, there are, as we know, Dave, there are no shortcuts in life, right? No. There is no way to go out and look, I'm all for people doing self-improvement and all these sorts of things, but it comes down to this, what price is anyone willing to pay? Particularly when you're talking about something like a storefront kind of organization, perhaps, that says that they have a medical director and that this is all safe. And
I'm glad you said that, Joe. I am because if, you know what, if Joe Scott Morgan's wife, if Kimmy and I wanted to open up a medical spa and call it, you know, Kimmy's Medical Spa. Yeah. And we offered different treatments and things that were invasive or an IV treatment of some type, right? Yep. We would need a medical doctor to serve as our, what'd you call him?
Well, it's a medical director.
Medical director. Okay. A medical director implies that this medical director is overseeing the medical operations taking place inside. That medical director could be on 50. That individual could be the medical director for 50 different storefront medispa type places. I'm not saying they are.
You want to know another shocking fact about medical directors? And this is one of those dirty little secrets that you never hear about until you're faced with it. This has nothing to do with spas. You go to a nursing home.
Oh.
Now you talk about you talk about something that will get your attention. Now, if you're a resident at a nursing home, you might have a primary care physician, but they've got a nurse, they've got a medical director for the whole thing. And interestingly enough, over my course of time working at the medical examiner's office, people don't see the side of working in medical legal death investigation. You have to go and get with a private physician to get them to sign the death certificate because, you know, at the medical examiner, if we have somebody that rolls in, we don't know anything about their medical history, but yet you have a physician who has been prescribing this drug and this drug and this drug and this drug. And here's one of the dirty little secrets about it. You go to the private physician that has prescribed a sack full of drugs for people, and they're like the medical director of this facility. Guess what they say? I wasn't there when they died. So I'm not going to sign the death certificate. Well, dude, you weren't there when they were born either, but yet here we are. You're still treating them. And that's why anytime I hear the term medical director assigned to anybody, it's just like you said, and you and I did not talk about this beforehand. You brought up the fact that if you've got like a whole series of these medical spas that are out there, this person might be responsible. So you're telling me that you've got a doctor on site that's monitoring patients, because these people are patients. You know why they're patients? Because now you're doing something that is invasive. And people say, it's only an IV. No, it's invasive. You're sticking a needle into somebody's arm, and you've got an IV drip that's going into their body. And in this particular case, that trip to the spa wound up in the worst way possible, resulting apparently in the death of this person.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Amazon Health AI presents Painful Thoughts.
I can't stop scratching my downtown. Yeah, but I'm not itching to go downtown and tell a receptionist I'm here to talk about my downtown. Some things you'd rather type than say out loud.
There's no question too embarrassing for Amazon Health AI. Chat your symptoms and get virtual care 24/7. Healthcare just got less painful.
From sauce to dust to nuggets, Diablo dusted crispy chicken nuggets. Now, they don't come in mild. That would make like 0 sense with the name. New Diablo dusted crispy chicken nuggets, only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time and while supplies last.
This podcast is sponsored by Veracity. Everybody I know is talking about GLP-1s, and you all know I prefer natural options in my lifestyle, always. Welcome to an all-natural way to slim down, get energized, and sharpen your focus. Veracity is revolutionizing health by tackling the root cause of so many issues, metabolism. With Veracity's drug-free, clinically proven, and doctor-formulated solutions, you can support your body's needs to live your healthiest life. Veracity founder and CEO Allie Egan is a certified hormonal health coach. Her personal experience with metabolic issues inspired her to develop holistic solutions for achieving optimal health. Make the switch to GLP-1s the natural way. Head to veracityhealth.co and use code iHeart for up to 65% off your order. Once again, that's VERACITY health.co for up to 65% off, and make sure you use the promo code iHeart so they know we sent you.
So, Dave, let me get this straight. Jenifer Cleveland arrived at the Lux Med Spa, and she went there with, I don't know, to get this kind of youthful glow, I guess, because this is something that has been promised. I guess I'm sure that if you could go back and reflect over the literature, they're trying to bring people in. And if what you're saying, and I think I'm reading this right, you're talking about an individual that works in sales for a local radio station. This is what's kind of chilling about this, Dave. That person de facto, in order to promote this, has to try it, kind of become a guinea pig, don't they?
In some ways, that's a great way to put it out there. Could be, or it could be that in the competitive world of sales, a business pops up and you go and see them. You have to, because you got to explain to your sales manager who you called on today. So you stop by and look, Jenifer Cleveland, a beautiful 47-year-old woman, beautiful 47 years old. Well, she's right there in the target demo. Okay. July of 2023, she was the audience that this particular medispa in Texas was looking for as a client. And who's to say? I don't know if she had the treatment done and said, wow, this is great. I don't know if she did that and then went back to him and said, hey, we need to get you on the air. More people need to know about this. I'm going to assume that. Okay. Let's assume best case scenario, Joe, that she went in, got this treatment and made her feel better about herself, had more energy. Well, the treatment that Jenifer Cleveland underwent is an IV hydration treatment at this med spa that they talked about. It is an infusion that contains a mixture of, and you're going to have to break this down for us, but a mixture of vitamins and electrolytes, specifically vitamin B complex, ascorbic acid, B12, and total parenteral nutrition, TPN electrolytes. And the procedure led to a fatal cardiac event. She died because this IV drip was done too fast. And the person administering the drip, Joseph Scott Morgan, according to an indictment handed down by a grand jury, was Amber Johnson, not the man who was the medical director of the facility. That's a different fella. Amber Johnson is the owner of this med spa, who is charged. And just so we can get to this, because Jenifer Cleveland died. She didn't die on the table at the med spa. She died at the hospital. They kept her heart beating, I guess, or got it beating, whatever happens. But Amber Johnson was indicted by a grand jury for felony murder. Felony murder, criminally negligent homicide, manslaughter, delivery of a dangerous drug, tampering with or violating physical evidence, practicing medicine with no license. Practicing medicine without a license, Joe.
Yeah, here's one other little tidbit about this. You know how we were talking about medical directors just a moment ago? Well, the guy that's named in this and that was named as the medical director is a guy named Dr. Michael Patrick Gallagher. According to what they are reporting, Dave, on the day that Jenifer lost her life, you ready for this? He was 100 miles away.
Wow.
100 miles away. So look, I don't know anything about the medical background that Miss Amber Johnson may or may not have had. I don't know what her education level was, clinical experiences, because, Dave, I don't care if you are, I don't care if you're a surgeon or if you're a nursing assistant. There is, when you're talking about medicine, the practice of medicine, there is a clinical phase for everybody where you have to have certain experience, where you go in to a clinic, you're supervised, you are directed, by people that know more than you do. And certainly with procedures, certainly with things like, well, what do you do in the case that you have a patient that goes into cardiac arrest? Okay. So when we think about the day that Jenifer went in, all right, and she's having these medications, because this is actually a prescription load that she's taken on. You have to have a doctor's signature on this thing to facilitate it. Did the person that was in watch care over her, did she know how to respond to a cardiac arrest? Did she understand the signs of somebody that might be in some kind of acute failure or distress relative to this kind of electrolyte imbalance? And particularly with this complex cocktail that is being injected into her body. Hey, here's a question. Did they have a crash cart there? Well, what's a crash cart? Crash cart is something that's utilized to revive people. We've all seen movies, where they bring out the paddles and, everybody, says clear, and, in order to run, and it's called running a code. In order to run a code, there are multiple levels of certification you have to have in order to facilitate that. All right. And there are nurses out there, which we've got a lot of nurses that are friends that listen to this show, and I can see them shaking their heads right now, because that journey to get certified at that level, to be able to run a code, is so intense, Dave. I can't even begin to express to you intellectually and clinically how difficult this process is just to make it through. But you want it to be difficult, right? I mean, if somebody is going to be pushing drugs on you, one of the things I'm thinking about is just like an epi injection, where you're injecting epinephrine into an individual, and you're having to try to understand the rhythm, and you're reading the EKG or the lack of what may or may not be. Are you getting appropriate responses and all of this? I wonder at the med spa, and I'm using that as a general, you got a crash cart sitting around there, and do you have anybody that knows how to use those tools there? Because this is obviously a risk. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. You don't have to have a degree in medicine. You can look at the cocktail that they're putting out there, and you can see that there are certain inherent risks that come along with subjecting people to this kind of, and I'm using this term very, very loosely, this kind of therapy. All right. Because it's supposed to be a therapeutic event. And Dave, I got to tell you, buddy, Jenifer Cleveland, for whatever reason, and I've got a couple of things here I can talk about, but I don't think that she walked in expecting that she was not going to be walking out.
The shocking part of all of this, Joe, is that, you're doing something that has all the appearances of being healthy. A medical director is prescribing these medications for you to take that's going to replenish your body's supply of whatever it needs. And it's going to make you feel better and stronger and younger. I mean, it's the greatest thing you can do. And hey, it only takes a couple of minutes. I mean, this is really a great idea. That's, if you look at it from, do you want to feel better? Do you want to look here? And in this case, Jenifer Cleveland overdosed on potassium chloride, allegedly provided by Johnson. I'm saying allegedly because we have not been through court yet. According to what we know now, Jenifer Cleveland was administered 1,000 milliliter of what is called an IV cocktail.
Yeah.
When I think of an IV, I'm thinking about how I'm in the hospital and I've got an IV drip going on so they can administer medications that I might need over the course of my time there. And that so they don't have to keep giving me injections, I mean, that's kind of what I think of an IV.
To a certain degree that's accurate. And you can have a port that's in place so that they don't have to continue to stick you. You've got an indwelling site, an injection site, and they can inject that. But if they've hung a bag of fluids on somebody, all right, those fluids in a hospital setting, in that true therapeutic setting where you have nurses that are coming in and they're taking care of you. For those out there that have not had to go through the experience of being hospitalized, you haven't lived until you're being awakened at 11, at 2, at 4, at 6, and it's because they're checking on you. I know people find that irritating. Look, I want to be irritated. All right. Because I want a nurse, because there's not always going to be a doctor physically there on the floor. Now, they'll have a hospitalist that's in-house and they can run up there and do all the stuff that they do. But I want a nurse. I want somebody that's been through nursing school. I want somebody that has passed their nursing boards. I want somebody that knows and understands basic human physiology, that they understand drug interactions, how, and particularly I want them to understand how my body's responding, right? And, for Jenifer, she didn't have that. She didn't have that. She was left in the hands of Amber, okay, that was running the med spa. She was also left in the hands of a medical director that in this case was nowhere to be found.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Amazon Health AI presents Painful Thoughts.
I can't stop scratching my downtown. Yeah, but I'm not itching to go downtown and tell a receptionist I'm here to talk about my downtown. Some things you'd rather type than say out loud.
There's no question too embarrassing for Amazon Health AI. Chat your symptoms and get virtual care 24/7. Healthcare just got less painful.
This podcast is sponsored by Veracity. Everybody I know is talking about GLP-1s, and you all know I prefer natural options in my lifestyle, always. Welcome to an all-natural way to slim down, get energized, and sharpen your focus. Veracity is revolutionizing health by tackling the root cause of so many issues, metabolism. With Veracity's drug-free, clinically proven, and doctor-formulated solutions, you can support your body's needs to live your healthiest life. Veracity founder and CEO Allie Egan is a certified hormonal health coach. Her personal experience with metabolic issues inspired her to develop holistic solutions for achieving optimal health. Make the switch to GLP-1s the natural way. Head to veracityhealth.co and use code IHEART for up to 65% off your order. Once again, that's VERACITY health.co for up to 65% off, and make sure you use the promo code IHEART so they know we sent you.
You're a pro at running your life, at committing to your workout, at showing up every day. At Bombas, we're pros too. Pros at making socks. Our sport assortment has specialized socks for whatever sport you're committed to. Running, hiking, golf, Pilates, and so much more. Made with sweat-wicking yarns, blister-fighting details, and targeted arch support. Bombas Sport is pro-level socks from the pros of socks. For another pro, you. Go to bombas.com/audio and use code audio for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com and use code audio.
And just so that we can set the stage here, once this therapy of this cocktail was administered to Jenifer, it was within a very short period of time that she goes in or becomes unresponsive. Now, listen, I don't know how she was unresponsive. I don't know how somebody like Amber Johnson, I don't know this person on any level. I don't know anything about their medical background and their training. I don't know how she would necessarily define unresponsive. Are you saying that she's no longer awake and alert? I mean, I've had over the course of my life, multiple IVs that have been hung on me. Unless I was going to go into surgery, I do not recall losing consciousness. So you have that unresponsive, you lose consciousness where, hello, is there anybody in there?
Right.
Or is it that there's no detectable signs of life? Chest is not rising and falling. You're checking for, carotid pulse. You're checking, for a brachial pulse. And you're absent there. That's a kind of unresponsive, right? So I don't know what it meant. Did she have a sudden seizure while she's on the table, and following that seizure, she just kind of goes limp?
I can give you a timetable. I can give you the timetable.
Sure. Go ahead, brother.
All right. 11:04 a.m. The infusion begins on Jenifer Cleveland. 27 minutes later, at 11:31 a.m., she lost consciousness, had no pulse, collapsed, gone. They had to rush her to the hospital, and she was admitted with cardiac arrest and was pronounced dead minutes after arriving. Joe, I know you're going to cover this because I'm curious. When I saw the rate of infusion, the infusion rate recommended, to not pass, that TPN electrolytes, the TPN, which is part of this IV cocktail, the TPN electrolytes require a slow infusion rate of 83 to 125 milliliters per hour, or ml means milliliters, right?
Yes, it does.
Per hour over a 24-hour period to avoid any adverse effects. And the call here is that this IV cocktail was being administered too fast and directly caused the death of Jenifer Cleveland. When you look at the autopsy report, can you see how quickly something was administered? Can you see the results of that IV cocktail entering the bloodstream? Can you see what all was going on?
No, but you can hazard a diagnosis based upon a young woman. She's only in her 40s.
Yeah, 47.
Yeah, and how this sudden death event came about. That's why it's really important that as a medical legal death investigator, you're going to speak to all of the principals involved in this to understand what they were actually witnessing. Like was there an increase in heart rate? Say, for instance, were there complaints from the patient? Were they saying things like, I can't catch my breath, I can't breathe? They've got a pulse, a rapid pulse that is incompatible with life. That is, if you're actually a medical practitioner and you understand what all of that indicates. Now, if you're exceeding the recommended rate of this infusion, why in the world you would do this, I have no idea why you would, increase the volume that goes beyond the accepted parameters of the so-called therapy. I don't understand that, because this TPN, the thing about it is it does have true medical applications. It's a nutritional thing that's actually used. That's why, like, doctors can actually prescribe this. You're deficient in certain areas that you need kind of a boost relative to this. What if you don't actually need TPN and it's given to you? All right. But yet they're telling you that you're going to be able to have this beautiful appearance now. It's going to make you more youthful, these sorts of things. And here's the thing about it, Dave. In most medical therapies that you're going to be subjected to, whether it's physical therapy, a respiratory therapy you might receive, some kind of cardiac therapy, that people have to go through. You know what, brother? Most of the time, there are diagnostic tests that are run in advance that give the physician the picture of what they're dealing with. Guess what they would have found with Jenifer if they'd done diagnostics that they found at autopsy? She had cardiomegalia. And what does that mean? She had an enlarged heart. Okay. And structurally, that gives you a few indications that, okay, maybe TPN or this overall therapy with this cocktail might not be good for you, because you're also, part of this is like electrolyte therapy. Electrolytes at their base, they have a big influence on cardiac health. Okay. And just day-to-day function, just in that area alone. They serve, we could sit here all day long and go through all of the clinical applications as it applies to electrolyte therapy. All right. But let's just focus on the heart. Okay. Because that's going to give us an indication of, well, if you have a condition like heart enlargement, all right, how is the introduction of electrolytes going to impact a patient that has cardiomeg? All right. Because cardiomeg can come about as a result of many things, like some kind of hypertension that maybe, I don't know, maybe Jenifer had not been diagnosed with hypertension. All right. But yet here she is, and she's in this therapeutic environment, again, air quotes, and they're shooting this cocktail into her. She's already got a heart problem. It really draws into question the judgment of those individuals. I think that's why they've really put the hammer down in this case regarding the charges that have been brought up against Amber. And Dave, I've been prattling on. I think it's really important for our friends to understand what she has been charged with, because it's, I remember seeing the list, and the list is like, wow, I can't believe this, but please go ahead.
Joe, Amber Johnson was indicted by a grand jury on the following charges: felony murder, criminally negligent homicide, manslaughter, delivery of a dangerous drug, tampering with or violating physical evidence, practicing medicine with no license. Think about this, Joe. Amber Johnson opened this med spa with no medical license whatsoever. She's not a nurse. She has no medical license that I can find anywhere. Texas has a law against that. She partnered with that medical doctor to be the the supervisor of this thing, but he's 100 miles away.
Whoa. Hang on. Let me ask you a question real quick. What has the medical director been charged with?
The medical director is a fellow by the name of Michael Gallagher. Now, he allegedly failed to adequately supervise Johnson, permitted her to use his medical license to obtain TPN electrolytes, and or failed to monitor the TPN electrolytes Johnson obtained and administered. This is according to the indictment handed down on Gallagher. The arrest warrant for Gallagher was executed the day after Amber Johnson was arrested. And his charges, here we go, felony murder, manslaughter, criminally negligent homicide, 9 counts of offer delivery of a dangerous drug, 13 counts of practicing medicine in violation of subtitle. A Freestone County jail spokesperson confirmed he was released on $96,500 bond the same day he was arrested.
Wow. Okay. I just had to get that straight because, one of the things I've run into over the years, and here's a big reveal. When it comes to physicians, many times that have been involved, or let's see, how can I phrase this? That have, where their patient has died.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. They will list that many times as a medical. Now, are you sitting down for this, Dave? They'll list it as a medical misadventure,
and
the doctor won't be charged with anything. And so I got to tell you, I'm tip of the cap to the folks in Texas over this. Relative to, what they're exploring here, because this is, again, we don't have anybody that has been brought to trial at this point in time, but the fact that they are going down this road, I guess the biggest thing, no one on the face of the planet likes to be made an example of. I can guarantee you that. Those without sin, throw the first stone. I've been made an example of because decisions I've made in my past. But the things that I did didn't necessarily wind up in somebody's, end. All right.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, one thing good did come out of this. Granted, we still have to go through the legal process here, but after Jenifer's passing, her husband really... He took it hard, as you would expect. He said, my wife, my wife wanted to do was love. That's all she wanted to do was love. And I thought, that's a powerful thing, and it led to the state of Texas politicians upping the ante on the laws on these things. It's called Jenifer's Law. Jenifer's Law was signed June 20th of last year. Regulates elective IV therapy in Texas, requiring it to be administered only by qualified medical professionals. That would be physicians, PAs, APRNs, or RNs. That's it. You got to have one of those things or you ain't doing this.
Thank God.
Yeah. Prohibits the delegation to unlicensed staff at a med spa. Can't say, hey, you know how to do an IV. You go ahead and do it. I'm here. I got my license. You have to do it. The doctor has to do it, the nurse.
Yeah, and that's what this comes down to. I don't want to see other families, go through this. What this family has had to go through. And look, if you want to go to a spa, I think it's great, man. I mean, who doesn't want to be able to, have a spa day?
Yeah.
But I think the big question you have to ask yourself, what does a spa day actually mean? Does it mean that you're going to go in, you're going to get a relaxing massage, some kind of tending to your nails, whatever that is. I don't like people touching my feet, but whatever that means, you're going to get some kind of facial exfoliation or whatever the case. Maybe it's you get to go sit in a steam bath and they bring you some kind of herbal tea. I'm down with that. I'm cool with that. But you shouldn't walk into an establishment not being able to walk out. If this has taught us anything, I think that it's important to understand that before you involve yourself in some kind of storefront, spa, medical facility, make sure you know who you're dealing with. And here's one other thing. Make sure you know what your body can handle, because it would appear that in this particular case, there was nothing diagnostically done prior to this procedure, and it is a procedure. If it had been done, trying to calculate the risk and what she's going to be exposed to, she'd probably still be with us today. I'm Joseph Scott Morgan, and this is Body Bags.
This podcast is sponsored by Veracity. Everybody I know is talking about GLP-1s, and you all know I prefer natural options in my lifestyle, always. Welcome to an all-natural way to slim down, get energized, and sharpen your focus. Veracity is revolutionizing health by tackling the root cause of so many issues, metabolism. With Veracity's drug-free, clinically proven, and doctor-formulated solutions, you can support your body's needs to live your healthiest life. Veracity founder and CEO Allie Egan is a certified hormonal health coach. Her personal experience with metabolic issues inspired her to develop holistic solutions for achieving optimal health. Make the switch to GLP-1s the natural way. Head to veracityhealth.co and use code IHEART for up to 65% off your order. Once again, that's VERACITY health.co for up to 65% off, and make sure you use the promo code IHEART so they know we sent you.
Your vehicle doesn't just get you from here to there. It's a bridge to the people and places that matter most. It's how you show up for your family, your community, and everyone else that depends on you. That's why for 125 years, Firestone has been building tires with one thing in mind: to deliver products that are as reliable as you are. Firestone, always dependable since 1900.
You ever wonder how far an EV can take you on one charge? Well, most people drive about 40 miles a day, which means you can do all daily stuff no problem. Go to work, grab the kids at school, get the groceries, and still have enough charge to visit your in-laws in the next county. But they don't need to know that. And the best part, you won't have to buy gas at all. The way forward is electric. Explore EVs that fit your life at electricforall.org.
When people turn to telehealth for weight loss, they're looking for real support. That's why more people are choosing OrderlyMeds.com. Orderly Meds connects you with real doctors and access to proven GLP-1 medications like semaglutide and tirzepatide. No guessing, just a more supportive experience, and all shipped directly to your door in discreet packaging. Do your research, ask questions, then visit OrderlyMeds.com/podcast for an exclusive offer. That's OrderlyMeds.com/podcast. Individual results may vary, not medical advice. Eligibility required. See site for details.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.